Sorry, man. I was trying to knock on a door back there, but you don't have a door.
Knock it down.
And welcome back. And you're watching and listening to On Deck. Well, of course, yours truly, Charles Price Richie. I'm the host of Mass Steel podcast right now. We're getting to wrap up with NFL Extra Points right now as we get into the Bear Zone right now. We are just a couple of weeks away from NFL training camp coming up for all teams right now. As we look at everything right now going into it, as we look at it right now. And here are the key dates right now, especially, since mini camp has already been concluded, June 15th through the 17th. Going into it right now, as we look at it. And basically, right now, we're going to be looking at for most NFL teams getting ready to get started here in the middle of July in just a few weeks coming up as we look at it. And basically right now, one of the key position battles that's be going into it right now as we look at it basically from this time. 1 second here, folks. As we go ahead and take a look at this right now, we're just a few weeks away coming up from it right now. As we look at, they will be reporting the training camp on July 27th, as it looks right now. So they're going to be reporting July 27th, according to NFL Network's Tom Pelissero. The reporting date comes 47 days before the Sunday of week one, as specified in the collective bargaining agreement. Last year was the first time the Bears held training camp at Hellas Hall as they decided to move on from Bourbonnais and utilize their newly renovated facility. As were expected to attend last year, but remember, due to COVID-19, that was kiboshed right there as we look at. And according to Adam Jahns right now, he's got a few interesting highlights right now going into this year's training camp right now. Of course, let's just state the obvious right now. Of course, the quarterback position right now. You got a guy right now, since they moved on from Matt Nagy. He is now with the Buffalo Bills. So now you got a newly drafted first-round quarterback, Justin Fields out of Ohio State University, really looking to turn some heads this year as we look at it for everything. And to be honest, I think definitely got some real good excitement right now. A lot of good reviews right now, for this year. Right now, I'm being very impressed with the coaching right now. If anything, Matt Nagy right now, one of the things that Adam Jahns highlights, he says he wants him to test out throws and take more risks. And Adam Jahns right now, by the way, who, if you guys want to follow online on social media of The Athletic, you can definitely follow him on Twitter at Adam Jahns, right there at The Athletic, Shy right now, who covers the Bears right now for everything going on. And I think that's going to definitely be interesting right now, because we also look at it right now, too. You also still got Nick Foles, who's currently on the depth chart right now. I think that's going to be anything, I'm not sure what's going to happen with him. I mean, Nick Foles, I mean, that was a real head scratcher what they did with him, to be honest with you. And Nick Foles, I never really saw him as like a decent fit in this offense last year. I mean, of course, a lot of people will definitely point to Matt Nagy, his aggressive play calling right there. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you got right there. I mean, he has got at least 2 more seasons on his contract with the Chicago Bears. He signed a restructured 3-year contract with the Bears after the trade from Jacksonville. As according to Brad Biggs, the base value of the contract was for $24 million with $17 million guaranteed. Now that was initially went to Jaguars 2019, I believe it was, and he got hurt and he missed a lot of games, I think, that year. But still, I think if anything, right now, when we truly look at like the Bears right now, I mean, and you got Andy Dalton right now. I know a lot of people have not been super excited about signing this guy, but I mean, listen, I think if anything, that Andy Dalton is a nice transitional quarterback or a nice mentor who could help, I think, develop a guy in newly acquired Justin Fields. And when you got a guy like Justin Fields right now, I mean, on this roster, I mean, for the most part, I mean, going into it, and you look at him and what he's able to do. I mean, this guy right here, going to this season, I mean, for the most part, I mean, a guy who is 6'3" right now. I mean, has had a legit arm right now. I mean, throws 67 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Seems to be good as advertised right now in the off season. Remember, just the only difference between this year's camp and last year's, there won't be quarterback competition. The only way one potentially develops is if Dalton starts to have problems in team drills and struggles to shake them day after day. I think that's a very interesting thing. I think the only thing I do like right now is that you are going to see some preseason right now for this year. I mean, which is encouraging, and you're going to find out right now because remember, they're going to be having a joint practice together coming up shortly before their August 14th game versus the Miami Dolphins. So they'll be having a joint practice together, joint sessions, and then they'll be facing the Buffalo Bills and the Tennessee Titans for the most part. And so the Bears are going to have 2 home games in back-to-back weeks, finishing on the road against the Tennessee Titans for their preseason game. That final game will be on August 28th as we look at right now. So, I mean, yeah. I think if anything, when we go into it, I mean, for the most part, I mean, listen, I think for the Chicago Bears right now, I mean, they need to get the thing in order right now. I think if anything, too, I mean, another big thing, too, I mean, Adam Jahns mentions on here, too, one of the lists right now, how the tight ends will dominate. Now, remember, you did have guys like Jimmy Graham, and of course, rookie Notre Dame, Cole Kmet come in here. I mean, who had good workouts and performances, but did not translate necessarily into the regular season. Of course, a lot of it has to do with Mitch Trubisky, who just apparently did not appear to be any good for this team. Just not a guy you can depend on, like throwing the ball legitimately. I think if anything, when you look at a guy like of course, like a Justin Fields, watching his deep ball accuracy, see how that continues to develop right there. And if anything, I mean, like from his footwork and individual appearance to his action and one-on-one drills, so overall success 7-7s and live team drills, Fields will be closely watched. And his attempts and completions will be charted but his camp debut still will be different. He'll still be behind Andy Dalton, but it won't have the same awkwardness. John Fox is planning to put Trubisky behind Mike Glennon and Mark Sanchez in 2017, even though the rookie clearly started to show that he was the more talented quarterback. Now, I mean, Fields did not get through organized team activities and minicamp unscathed. There were mistakes made in interceptions thrown, but Fields' ability to consistently connect on mid to deep passes will separate him from Trubisky. The early signs suggest that he will do as much too. These are the reports coming from Adam Jahns. So another thing he also points out here too, in points this season's training camp, will be splash plays of wide receiver. The speed and explosiveness that veterans Marquise Goodwin and Demary Bird, two free agent additions on one-year deals displayed during the offseason program, they need to show a little bit more excitement right there too, and enthusiasm right now. Because don't forget too, on this Bears squad right now, also you also got as far as like your wide receiver right now. I mean, for the time being too, and Allen Robinson right now. Allen Robinson, I mean, who's had a decent career right now. He's caught for his second career high and 1,250 yards with 6 touchdowns. His third most in his NFL career, and his second most as a Chicago Bear. He had 7 caught back in 2019. I mean, right now, this is a guy right now too. I mean, who's looking for a contract right now with the Bears. I believe the Bears did tag him right now. So I mean, this is a guy right here. He signed on a $17.8 million franchise tender back on March 24th. So, I mean, you look at the receivers. I mean, you kind of get the sense right now, this Bears group right now, as I was talking to a friend earlier, came back on the mic, Paulie C. He was telling me, and I kind of tend to agree with him right now, that this team is definitely going to be more than likely transitioning from offense to, defense to offense, basically. And I really do believe that in some ways, because I think if anything, where I get critical of the Chicago Bears is this, because you do, NFL and CBS had their coaches rankings come out. Matt Nagy, he's a 19th ranked coach. I mean, simply, when you look at him right now, I mean, 26 in total offense with 331 yards a game, 23.3 points a game. That's ranked 23rd. And of course, I mean, you look at the defense too. I mean, it's still not bad in total yards of defense. They're ranked 11th with 345 yards a game. But the biggest thing where I got very critical of the defense, when you really looked at it too, I mean, was their total takeaways. 18. They're ranked 26. And they had like a similar amount in 2019. And what was one of the recipes for the Bears' success was be able to win that, was be able to create a lot of takeaways right there. I mean, back in 2018. And when you truly look at it, they had 36 takeaways to 24 turnovers. That was a plus 12 turnover ratio. And in 2019, they were even at that point. And then last year too, I mean, for the turnover ratio, last year they were -4 with 18 takeaways and 22 turnovers. So you got to find a way to take away the ball a little bit more again. I mean, help set your offense up nicely. I mean, that's going to be the thing right now as we pay attention to Matt Nagy trying to continue policing, I mean, under his watch right now. I mean, like how he's going to make him go the length of the field and do stuff right there. And I think that is highly critical right there. Another thing right now, too, you got right now second-round pick Tevin Jenkins, who's a tackle right now, who's playing left tackle for the offense. Question here is where he can keep it after the pads come on. For Jason, I mean, for Jenkins, excuse me, they're going to have him go up against guys like Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, even Akeem Hicks. And even if he does lose his battles, like say a guy like Khalil Mack, I mean, the thought process is, the theory is that if he loses to at least Mack in camp, I mean, it's better he loses to him in camp versus something critical in the regular season. Hopefully, to toughen them up a little bit too. And then the last major striking thing on here too, before I go into a rant on this, is how different will Sean Desai's defense look? The changes that the new defensive coordinators make to the defense is already obvious to the players after minicamp. Desai has been the team's safety coach for the last 2 years, since 2019, and he spent 6 years prior to that, from 2013, as defensive quality control. And Eddie Jackson right now, he just said it's just different with schemes, according to safety Eddie Jackson. For Jackson, that means roaming free, being free, but there will be much as possible. Desai will do the same. Those disguises might be hard to recognize for outsiders at camp, but there will be signs of it whereas Jackson's placed on the field, blitzing linebackers with the possibility of cornerback Jalen Johnson shadowing the opposition's best receivers. So there you have it. Those are the quick highlights going into it. And I want to end with this real quick before I get out of here. Chicago Bears, I know within a month right now, there's been reports about them taking high consideration moving out of Soldier Field right now and going to Arlington Heights right now. And fair or foul, I used to do this on my MSGO podcast. They are locked into a lease through 2033, according to Mayor Lori Lightfoot of Chicago, who dismissed the possibility of the Bears leaving Chicago Arlington Heights after being in Chicago for over a century, especially in Soldier Field for 50 years now, since 1971. If the Bears were to break the lease, it doesn't seem it would be all that bad. In 2026, the team would have to pay $84 million of damages to the city, according to analysts. That estimate assumes the Bears' inflation-adjusted payments to the city will continue to rise at a pace similar increases since the lease's inception in 2003 when they renovated it. Now, I mean, here's a few key of that too right now. I mean, when we look at everything right now, I mean, they made a bid to buy land for a possible new stadium in Arlington Heights. And right now, I mean, when you look at everything that has been going into that right now, I mean, that is definitely be an interesting move, I think, to say the least. Because honestly, I would be on deck with it. To be honest, no pun intended. I think the Bears need to consider moving from it. To be honest with you, I mean, this is a team who's definitely really kind of got screwed over royally, if you ask me. Being in Soldier Field, especially the last 18 years, especially when they were hoping for a better stadium, they really got nothing like legit. I mean, to really like depend on as we look at it. And basically, I mean, trying to purchase the Arlington International Racecourse, a horse racing track located in the Chicago suburb of Arlington Heights. It's owned by Churchill Downs Incorporated, which also owns the iconic track that is home to the Kentucky Derby. Churchill Downs announced in February that the 90-plus-year-old track was going up for sale, and the Bears are among multiple bidders for that 326-acre property. And like I said, you got to go through like multiple clearances, such as with the lease. And there's a couple reasons why they feel like the Bears should relocate from Soldier Field, because the Bears have never owned their own stadium. Throughout the franchise history, they've never exactly had a home to call their own. 1920, the inaugural season, then the Decatur Staley's played at Staley Field in Decatur, Illinois from 1921 from 1970. I mean, in Decatur, Illinois. Then from 1921, for 1970, they played at Wrigley Field, home of Chicago Cubs. And then they played their first game of the 1970 season at Desai Stadium, the former home of the Northwestern Wildcats, before finishing things out Wrigley Field. And they moved to Soldier Field back in 1971, which is owned by the Chicago Park District, and have been there since, except when the stadium was under renovation in 2002. And they played their only season outside of Soldier Field back in 2002, which was in Champaign, Illinois. And then also, too, I mean, the biggest thing, I mean, the Arlington International Racecourse offers more convenience than Soldier Field. It's located in Arlington Heights, Illinois. So from a guy like me, it'll be like a little bit over an hour away just to get there. But it has its own parking. For more on those aspects later. Closer to Chicago Airport than Soldier Field is, and avoids the traffic congestion of downtown Chicago. To be honest with you, I think if anything, I'm on board for any fan having the ultimate game day experience. To be honest with you, I think if anything, they owe it to them they owe it to themselves and the franchise give our experience. I think also too, I think the casino, the betting right there too. And to be honest, I'm just not really too fond of downtown Chicago anymore. And I think that is starting to become a little bit of a question mark area at times, just to socialize or, interact safely. I mean, I think if anything, and I think the biggest reason too, I think they lost a lot of money from the salary cap dropping for this year. And I think a lot of it had to do with how much less fans they had in attendance. So that's going to do it for this show of the On Deck right now. I'm going to say fair that they do move, if anything. And I definitely do believe it has something to do with the mayor. I mean, just not getting things in their favor. So I think you had to consider all options on the table. Once again, if you guys want to follow me on social media, you can definitely do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Project Richie, but I'm more primarily on Meta Steel Podcast on Twitter, which is at Meta Steel CGR. And then you can also check me out on Instagram at Meta Steel Nation. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. I gone.